We start in South Africa, where the price of wheat has risen to its highest in 8 months as continued unrest in Ukraine threatens to cut off supply. Ukraine is South Africa's biggest supplier of wheat and has accounted for 36% of imports since the season started at the end of September. The price of wheat for delivery in May increased by 2.5% to $360 per metric ton on the South African Futures Exchange, making this the biggest increase since June 20th of 2013. Global wheat and corn futures also rose despite promises from Ukraine's new agricultural minister that political turmoil would not reduce production of the grain. Ukraine mobilized its army reserve as Russia seized control of the Eastern European country's Black Sea region of Crimea, intensifying one of the most serious standoffs with the U.S. since the end of the Cold War. Joining us to discuss more on just how the crisis in the Ukraine could affect Africa's commodities exchange, we're joined now live by Melanie Ralph, who's live for us in London. Thank you for joining us tonight, Melanie. Ukraine is a strategic trading partner for many, including Africa. How will Africa's wheat supply be affected by the unrest if the unrest continues in the Ukraine going forward?
Well, this is the question. The price of wheat is edging up since the tensions began, as you were just saying. At the moment, the current deals that have been struck are still being shipped, but fresh business is likely to take a hit. The tensions mean there are now currency fluctuations to consider, not to mention the risk to the buyer of possibly not getting the end product if the situation did take a turn for the worse. The bigger risk going forward is whether the US or Europe decide to impose sanctions on Russia. It's unusual for sanctions to be put on food. It's usually the banks that get hit, but it's all linked because the wheat producers ultimately would have troubles making transactions if there are sanctions against the banks, but we're not at that stage yet.
As tensions in the Ukraine escalate, so has the price of gold. What's expected of the precious metal in the weeks to come?
Well, we're seeing gold falling back today after hitting 4-month highs yesterday. It seems markets want to see the best of a bad situation and are just relieved that Russia's President Putin has pulled back military force from Ukraine. In the near term, we could see some volatility for gold prices. Some analysts say key events such as the European Central Bank's statement on Thursday and Friday's US non-farm payrolls could influence prices, possibly to the downside. A stronger dollar and easing physical flows are elements that could spur investors to buy into gold. On the sector as a whole, industry peer Randgold Resources CEO Mark Bristow is certainly upbeat on the future of African gold mining. He insists that opportunities far outweigh the challenges currently facing the industry.
All right, thank you, Melanie Ralph, joining us from London.